Welcome back to Askewed Reviews. And I've been going through the entire Silent Night, Deadly Night series. So today's film is the 1991 movie Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toy Maker. Here is your trivia question for today. The centipede like creatures from the fourth film appear as a toy in this one. What is the name of the toy? The answer will be at the end of this episode. So, in the fifth installment of this series, we meet one of our main characters, Derek. Now, Derek was just trying to open a present that was given to him by a stranger. His father stops him and sends him back upstairs. But when the present moves, the father decides to open it himself, and unfortunately, what's inside is not nice, but naughty. The toy attacks and ends up taking out the father. We now jump ahead to 2 weeks later, where Derek still seems to be in a state of shock. His mother Sarah is doing everything possible to try and make him happy. Now, luckily, Sarah is getting some assistance from her neighbor Kim and her son Lonnie. Now, a new person in Derek's life named Noah keeps popping up in odd places and seems to have some sort of connection to him. Things only get worse from here as more and more toys are coming to life and attacking everyone. Perhaps there's a connection to the creepy guy who owns the toy store named Joe Petto and his son Pino. But will Derek end up being next before they can figure this out? This movie was directed and co-written by Martin Kittrosser. What's interesting though is that Kittrosser would go on from here to be a script supervisor for every Quentin Tarantino film. In my own opinion, I do think that Mickey Rooney and especially Brian Bremer did a great job in this film. You probably already figured this out, but the characters of Joe Petto and Pino are references to Geppetto and Pinocchio from the story Pinocchio. In fact, the story that the babysitter is reading to put Derek to sleep is Pinocchio. I will say, though, I find it hard to believe that no one noticed that the name Joe Petto was a terrible idea, especially just calling the toy store Pettos. Here's a bit of trivia that I mentioned in the Silent Night, Deadly Night review that I did for the first film. Mickey Rooney, who does appear in this film, actually was protesting the first one. Here's something completely random that I couldn't stop thinking about while rewatching this film. The actor William Thorne, who plays Derek, looked so familiar, and then I finally realized that he also plays young Bill S. Preston Esquire from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Also, including this film and that one, he has only appeared in 3 movies. The third film is Demonic Toys. Also, if you didn't know, the fourth Silent Night, Deadly Night film was directed by Brian Usna. Now, he felt bad for making that movie and ended up helping produce this one. There's also a lot of connections to Usna throughout this film. During the mall Santa scene, there's a young girl sitting on Santa's lap who asks for a copy of Bride of Reanimator. That young girl is actually Brian Usna's daughter, Zoe Usna, and the movie that she requests was directed by Usna. We also can't forget his son Conan Usna, who may or may not be reprising his same character from the fourth film, which is also named Lonnie. And speaking of that, Neith Hunter is also back from the fourth film and is also playing a character named Kim. And to stack even more weirdness on top of that, Clint Howard is also back from the fourth film, and once again, he is playing a character named Ricky. Now, it makes no sense as to why these 3 actors are playing the same named characters from the fourth film, and they are different people, but it definitely would not make any sense, at least in the case of Clint Howard. Here's something you may or may not have noticed, but there's a man wearing a Reanimator shirt that is waiting in the line for Santa. The cartoon that Derek is watching on the television is in fact Rambo the Animated Series. This movie was entirely filmed in California. The body count for this film is 5. You have Tom, who is attacked by a toy and then has a poker go through his eye. Harold, who is also attacked by a toy that hollows out his head. Buck, who gets multiple stab wounds from a toy. Joe Petto, who is taken out off screen. And Pino Petto, who was axed to death. There were potential talks of continuing the series into a 6th film, but the production company started working on larger projects like Reservoir Dogs. So when it comes to the film Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toy Maker, this one is definitely quite a bit better than its 2 predecessors. Now, I do feel this one is still not exactly where the original was, but it still is fun to watch and it definitely has that Christmas theme. So I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 5. And if you like this one, other films I recommend checking out are Demonic Toys, Puppet Master, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, and Child's Play. Now it's time to answer the trivia question from the beginning of this episode. The centipede like creatures from the fourth film appear as a toy in this one. What is the name of the toy? So apparently, bringing back three actors from this horrible film was not enough of a reference for them. They decided to bring back these weird centipede like creatures, but in the form of a toy. And that toy was called Larry the Larva. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews. And if there's a movie that you'd like to see get a review, just mention it in the comments.